I want to tell you about one of my really good friends. Okay, this is someone who I feel like I mentored when he was really young, and I've known him for many years. This is a guy who basically was in a similar situation to you. He was in a good job, and they said you're going to get made redundant. And obviously, when you hear this, you're shocked. You get uncertainty. You feel all over the place, and it's like a negative thing. Okay, so this guy he got made redundant. He left. It wasn't even a big package or anything, right? But he ended up, Qadarullah, going out there and doing contracting. And when he did contracting, bro, he did it really well. And he did it for years, and he earned a crazy amount of money. Okay? A crazy amount of money, mashallah. He went out, he's bought houses, he's got I'm actually consulting with him because he's got loads of Rolexes. And I'm like, okay, which Rolex do you buy? And he's done really well for himself. He's got a stake in a business as well. And it's all happened through this depressing thing of redundancy, right? So just make sure that you manage your emotions correctly and stuff, and know that inshallah Allah will provide inshallah something even better for it, right? That's the first thing with redundancies. And I've seen this happen with a lot of people, by the way. They go through something that they feel is not good for them, specifically redundancies, and it actually leads to a much better life for them. Most people, they have not come to a clear, correct conclusion on their own communication skills. But if you have this belief that you don't interview well, then you're not going to interview well. So you need to decide, do you want to interview well or you don't want to interview well? And if you want to interview well, then you need to start adopting the belief that, hey, look, a communications expert has told me that my communication is really good, so I should actually be able to interview really well. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't practice. It doesn't mean that, suddenly like you're a hero or anything, but it just means that you have the potential now to actually interview really well. I'm talking like I've done hiring a lot in my life. Alhamdulillah. I know people myself. I've got one friend, I'm not gonna name him, but he used to be so good at interviews and so incompetent in jobs. So what would happen is he would just walk into an interview and they'd be like, wow, you're hired. And they would take him, and then 3 months later ring me and he's like, Mo, what do I do? How do I do this job? Like, I'm gonna get fired. And he would get fired. And then we go into another job. And so people get hired all the time just purely because of great interviews, right? In terms of specifics, like being genuine, open, honest, all this kind of stuff, this whole thing about scripted, this is fake. This is something that people have as a notion, and they are completely clueless. And I'm going to prove it to you, right? But if you go and watch some of the best Oscar performances, right? Or of people that have won Oscars for certain performances, you will see they have won their things, not for what's being said, but the way they delivered it and what they said, right? The actors, actresses, the reason why they get those Oscars is because of their delivery. Now, every single line they have, I'm talking 99% of times in movies, are completely scripted. They're completely scripted, okay? But everyone sitting there watching it is transported to believing that is reality because of the performance and the delivery of that person. So I hear it from a lot of people that if I memorize something or if I learn it or this or that, it's going to come off as scripted. I'm like, yeah, it could do if you just read it in a monotone voice, then it will, right? But if you do it like a performance, like a stage actor who's memorized his lines, being scripted is one of the best things. Why? Because once you've learned and memorized your lines, you don't have to focus on remembering what to say. You can actually focus on how to say it, right? For me, I think that there's a few paradigm shifts that you need to have here. The first is that, yes, I have really good communication and I can do really well and smash interviews, inshallah, right? The second thing is that preparing for an interview in every way possible is actually going to benefit me, even if I write down the answers. And then thirdly, realizing that actually the way you say things is something you should be practicing so that you don't sound scripted.
No.